Welcome to my coach interview with former varsity player in Toronto, otherwise known as Sam Nicol. This interview is all about Sam's experience, thoughts, and ideas in relation to female tennis from both a coach and player point of view. I'd like to introduce Sam before we start. So Sam is an LTA Level 3 and a head tennis coach in Southwest London. She has 12 years of coaching experience in both North America and the UK. Sam is fully ambidextrous and she is top 15 in the UK for paddle. Welcome, Sam, and I hope you're well.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Pleasure. Okay, so let's get down to the questions. So, first one, who is the greatest female player of all times?
I think this is such a tough question to answer, but I would have to say Serena Williams with Steffi Graf as a really close second. Williams is just the strongest player that the women's tennis tour has ever seen. Just on court, her versatility and resilience is just second to none, and she's just overcome so much to get to where she is today.
Yeah, I think that really shows in all of her achievements as well, such as Steffi Graf. Cool. So let's move on to number two. What do you think about the state of female tennis today?
I think it's getting better, but it still has quite a long way to go to get to where the men's is. I think once Rafa, Roger, and Novak are gone, it'll improve. Because other than Serena Williams, the top 5 women's players in tennis has not really been that consistent. I think that when that changes, that rivalry between those players will make women's tennis more exciting and enticing to watch.
Mm-hmm. And is there any player examples on the female side that you would maybe that stand out for you, or maybe even your favorite players which you feel can push that side of the sport, maybe once those guys are retired?
I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Ivanovic, even though she's retired now. I think she held her ground quite well when she was playing. Being a Canadian, I have to go for Bianca. I think she's such a force to be reckoned with on court. I think she's really going to go far. And when she makes it to the top 5, I think it's going to be so exciting for everyone to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. And she captured that US Open title, didn't she, as well?
She did.
So, yeah, no, cool. Okay. Number 3, why do females hit the ball flatter?
So women typically prep the racket a little bit higher than men do, so usually hitting above the ball. Women hit a flatter shot because they play a bit more central than men, and they don't always have the power to make spin as effective like the men do. I think that the women's game is quite one-dimensional, so they haven't really developed much variation, but I think that's going to change within the next 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm. And do you think even from a club point of view and a high performance point of view, that the girls playing should start to introduce hitting flatter in their early development as a player?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think developing a flat shot early on will take a player's game pretty far. But again, you also need to add that slice, that topspin in as well, just to keep it quite versatile and just so you can not be so predictable on court.
Yeah. And I think just from coach to coach, I'm sure you've seen it before, where once a player, whether they're male or female, has started their their career kind of thing, that it's so topspin dominated. And I thought this was one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you and get from a female point of view, because sometimes you can always see that topspin is so it's always one of the strongest things that is always pumped into juniors or even into some adults' heads as well. So it's great to hear the word flatter being used, and quite strongly being used in that part of the game as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Okay, so next one. Any idea why females rarely hit the slice backhand?
I think women tend to play more central, like I said before, whereas men play with a bit more angle to their game. I think if women do hit an angle, it's a little bit shorter. It tends to be a bit slower. And I think it gives women a bit more time to get to the ball, and they get two hands on the racket. So they don't really need to slice it then. However, I think that learning a backhand slice is important whether you're a man or a woman. It changes the pace of the entire point. It can neutralize it. And personally, I love hitting a backhand slice, like slowing it down, coming up to the net, setting myself up for a volley winner. So I think like adding that into your game, you can never go wrong.
Yeah. And I think like the great things that you picked out there to that answer was it was more like a game-based approach, not so, like it's not difficult technically because it's not, but tactically it makes sense. And again, at the end of the day, if you've got some good tactics in your head, then, that's giving you an opportunity to win, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing I just wanted to pick up there where you said about like the chip approach and coming in and giving you more time and then setting you up for a volley. I think just generally, not just the female side of the game, but the men as well and the male viewers watching this can pick that up and listen to that quite deeply, because it's always, hit the ball flatter and go in and you'll get more time because they'll send it back slower, for example, or hit with loads of top spin. So actually using the slice and, saying something good about the slice is great to hear from a female and from a coaching point of view. Yeah,
I love the slice, so it's great.
Yeah, because even like when I'm coaching, you see some players have some great slices, especially the club players. Technically it might not look perfect, but it's really effective. They're not injured and they just want to get so into topspin. It's kind of like, you've got something great working for you there. If you had some strategy behind it as well, you could really do some special stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So next one, how can we inspire more teenage girls and female coaches in the tennis industry? Because I know this is a big one that's talked about often, especially in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a well-known fact that tennis is definitely a male-dominated sport. But there's still quite a significant gender gap in terms of players and coaches at all levels of the game. But Judy Murray, for one, has created that program She Rallies, which is a course that gives you skills and ideas to deliver starter training and fun competition to girls and women that are playing. I think there needs to be a more diverse range of coaching and clubs. Just there's more role models for players that are young and also for other coaches that are females. And like speaking from experience, in my 15 years of playing tennis, I've never actually had a female coach. But I still find it surprising when people come up to me and I say I'm a tennis coach and they're like, oh, really? We've never seen a female tennis coach before. It's never put me off tennis, not having a female coach, but I think it maybe would have been nice.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to have like coaching teams, with both male and female coaches on, because, as we know, players are individual and some will learn better with one coach and one will learn better with the other, with all those needs. But at the same time, there is a male game and a female game. So, there's lots of stuff that female can put into, a girl's or a lady's team or player. And I think they can just learn so much more. It's relating to somebody similar to you as well. And just
absolutely.
And just the way I guess that you can work with that person. Yeah, cool. So next one, and I know this one's been going around, especially globally, especially on the Pro Tour as well. But should the ATP and WTA merge?
I think this is a really hard question to answer, and it's like a fairly controversial topic. They are separate entities and tours in the long run. I think without them, there would still need to be something separate. I think there are a lot of open debates about a merger, but if there ever was to be one, I think it's still quite a long way away. And some believe that everyone in tennis would benefit from closer collaborations between the two organizations. But I think finding that sort of balance and making everything equal would be the hardest thing to negotiate. But I mean, a lot of players like Federer and Konta, they're all for it. So, I mean, as long as it's in the works, I think it's good just to give it a try, see how it goes.
Yeah. And I think like with this sort of topic or subject, that can actually help club tennis as well. For example, running into club tournaments, instead of having, like a men's league or a women's league, having it kind of merged as well. And I think it's great for players who are just going into competition, especially like at junior level, just to have that mix. And I know over here at the younger ages, like mini tennis, that they do mixed gender tournaments as well. So yeah, but I think like on the tour as well, they do a good job. They sometimes they host the tournaments at the same time and that sort of thing. So yeah, maybe it is. Maybe we just got to wait a little longer to see what really happens.
Yeah, I think we will.
Okay. Okay, so based on your experience as both a player and a coach, what would you say are keys to developing a junior female player, a player who has the ability to move on to the competition circuit?
I think you have to sell tennis as more of a lifestyle and not so much as a sport. I think females will continue with the sport if it becomes part of their life, far more than men who will like happily play sports as hobbies. For myself, tennis was never forced upon me, and I never not wanted to play. I always found it enjoyable, always worked hard. I loved seeing results. I did get pressure from my coaches to perform well. My parents, obviously, they were investing quite a lot of time and money into it. But I still love it after all these years. And I think it's because I was able to find that balance between the pressure and also enjoying it, and just not feeling like it was forced upon me.
Mm-hmm. And I think this, for like the coaches and even parents watching this, they can, from what you just mentioned there, especially if like their player is about to make that jump onto that circuit, or they're just starting out as a player. Like to hear that from you, it should hopefully help them to know from the start, from the get-go, or like starting in their early ages now, that is some great advice for them to take. And obviously that sort of stuff has helped and works with you, because obviously you're still in the game, you're coaching and achieved so much as well. So that's really good advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the last one. Who will be the next American superstar? Because obviously we've had like some of the males have come up, but they're not quite at the top of the game to someone like Serena or Venus has, or even Kenin. So which superstar do you think is going to come up from America?
Definitely Coco Gauff. She has so much potential to go so far in the game, and she's already proven herself so much on so many different occasions. She's already a star, and she has so much going for her. So I definitely think Coco.
Yeah, no, she's definitely in the spotlight at the moment. And I've got to ask, because I want to see this from not just a different opinion, but from a female opinion as well. Do you think that the media could play a big part in her career, whether it's a good or not?
I think the media could affect her negatively, but from what we've seen from her on court, she has a really strong mindset. She seems dedicated, and although she's quite young, I think she's only 16. Yeah. She could be influenced, but like I said, she has a really strong head on her shoulder. She's got her dad coaching her. She trains at a great academy. So she's vulnerable. She could be influenced, but I think at the same time, she's so focused and she's seen what she can do. So I think she'll be all right with the media. If anything, it'll be a plus for her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good to hear, actually, because you always, and even, most of the time I see the media as sometimes, putting the players down or whatever. But yeah, you can definitely, like you just said there, you can use it to your advantage. And the other thing that you mentioned really well that I really liked there was that she had like good people around her, or people that have had experience. So, they've been there, done that, or even seen it happen. So, starting with someone very young on the pro tour, hopefully when they get hit by these challenges or ups and downs, that they can know how to tackle them. And then she can obviously, jump on that as well. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
Great. Well, that was really good. And I was really looking forward to doing this interview because it's, there's not a lot of time where like coaches, parents, players, etc., viewers get to hear this sort of stuff from the female tennis industry. You always hear the typical kind of questions. And yeah, I had one in there about the merging, but obviously added it in because that was quite new. But yeah, to hear a lot of tactical background stuff, your opinions, the attributes on, which you feel is the greatest female player of all time and an upcoming American superstar. I think it's great for these viewers to see this insight knowledge, because I don't think these sorts of answers are kind of common knowledge, because they always talk about the typical topics.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this is really, really good. Thank you for that. So thank you for joining me this week on my coach interview, Sam. Obviously, I couldn't have done it without you. And thank you to all at home for watching. Be sure to tune in for my next episode, and all the best.
Thanks, Jake.
Pleasure. Thank you.